So I thought I'd do a quick little video on how to convert these DPS 600 PB uh, server power supplies, since I couldn't find any videos done on these on any of the websites like RC groups and so on and so forth. But this is one that I did a while back that I just simply soldered on to the PCB board that is located on the thing inside the power supply, and it works all right. You have to develop some sort of plug setup. Servo plugs work very well in that little spot to do the job. Hook up the right number of them, and the power supply will turn on. You can adjust the voltage, turn the fan so it's not so loud and running as fast. Various things like that through those series of those plugs, which kind of looks like this if you were to look at it in detail. Your ground side and your 12 volt out, and then your series of pins that you plug in order and things power up right. So on this particular build, I decided to do away with the PCB board and do strictly the get rid of, if looking inside here, getting rid of the ribbon cable that used to be located up here. So a couple things I did is, starting off, is it underneath this screw, it will look just like this one here. I put a little piece of nylon that I ordered, and it looks like this. It's just basically it's um, it's a standoff for a quadcopter. Uh, 3 millimeter center screw. Ground that down, sanded it, and made it round, cut it to fit into the hole just like I did on this one. And then underneath the screw head, I cut a piece of shrink wrap, put it down underneath that side, and then one underneath the bottom. And that totally isolated this ground, because this power supply is a float power supply, just like this one's going to be as well. And how to get those to float is right in this spot down here. You have to remove the little jumper wires that are located there, so you got to get rid of those. So I desoldered them. You could cut them and bend them out of the way. Desoldering works just as well, since if you're going to do this method, you'll be desoldering the ribbon cable as well. To get everything to power up and work right, what you need to do is you need to take a small wire and run just above the 14 here, and this is a ground. So solder a piece of wire there, run the wire in through terminal 2, and then I bent it and came out terminal 1, soldered it in place. Underneath that one is terminal 3. Terminal 3 becomes this orange wire. Oops. Terminal 3 becomes the orange wire. Terminal 5 is the blue wire. Those two wires will plug together so that it kind of looks like this. I just used, again, a servo connector. These two come on up to the switch, and they're hooked together, and then the ground. And then once everything's plugged up, clicking the switch turns on and off the power supply. So that's how you get them to power on. 3 and 5, and then 1 and 2 go to a ground. So 3 to 5 together, 1 and 2 to a ground. And the other thing I did is, running off of the ground from the PCB board, this lead wire runs all the way around into the PCB board that is no longer here. That's what I used to ground. And so then you ground number 4 wire and to ground as well in order to get it to turn on. This other trim pot is a 1 ohm half watt trim pot. This plugs into ribbon number 8, and on up here, about 6 pins in, up to this one is a 5-volt. Solder it there, solder to the trim pot, and then trim pot to ribbon, what would be effectively ribbon pin number 8, counting from this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, and then 8. Solder it into 8 to the trim pot. This allows for voltage adjustment. The number 4 pin that I soldered here, the number 4 to ground, that one takes the fan speed and reduces the fan speed. You could put another trim pot on that and adjust the fan manually, but in this case I just chose not to, because the fan has an automatic override that if it overheats, the fan will speed up anyway. So I just simply put it to ground, reduce this fan speed on this guy. And so that's basically how you do that. This is kind of a view of the other side where I soldered everything in through the ribbon holes that I removed. Once you get that all soldered into place, remove the little jumper wire. Here, I'll show you one with that has the jumper wire intact, because this one's going to be staying in place. And hope you can see it right down in here. These are the 2 jumper wires that I removed off of this one here. So this one will be a normal power. This will be this one here, normal power. This one here will be your DC float. And so that's how you do these Hewlett-Packard DPS 600s to get them to power for a power supply for anything RC related that you need a high voltage charge setup. So 2 of these will run in series, and that's the reason this one is a DC float. So 1 powered, and then the 12 volt lead from this guy will connect to the ground wire on this one, and then ground and power will go to the charger unit itself. So that's how you do it. Then once everything's put back together, it will look like this, but without this. And the only other thing I did is I got a piece of angle aluminum, drilled a couple holes and tapped them. It's held onto the power supply by a couple of button head screws down there that you can see. And then I just simply ran the wires through the thing, and it fits perfect in what would be the hole where this guy came out. So that's how it's done. Hope this helps anybody else who has been trying to figure out how to get this done.